I'm Natasha Kaufman, and welcome to my podcast, Don't Just Talk, Say Something, Lessons on 20 Years of Business. Over the past 2 decades of running my public relations firm, NKPR, I'm so grateful to have met, worked with, and learned from so many talented industry leaders. And I'm so excited to be able to share their stories and life lessons with all of you on this podcast. Ebuka and I met several years ago when she reached out to me with a very personal note asking me to be her mentor. A self-taught baker, Ebuka is super creative, talented, and kind. I know you'll love her as much as I do. On today's episode, we talk about the importance of mentorship and how being thoughtful in your approach can lead to the results you want. Here's our conversation. Welcome, Ebuka.
Thank you, Natasha.
My sweetheart.
Thanks for having me.
Ebuka, I really I wanted to focus on mentorship and the importance of it, and really hone in on, when you reached out to me. When was it? Would it have been 5 years ago? Yeah, okay. Yeah, 2017, 2018. Yeah, 5 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago. And tell me a little bit about how that all kind of transpired.
Okay, how much time we got?
We got lots of time.
Awesome. So, as you know, I'm Nigerian and was born and bred there. And I moved to Canada like 12 years ago. The me now that you call talented and everything, some parts of me, I've always been, the way that I am, but the talent part of it, I never knew I had. And it was born out of a time when, after coming here, being successful back home, then coming here and hearing no's, like loads of no's, especially around my career, trying to build up my career. And I was just hearing no's, you don't have Canadian experience. And that took a toll on me. Like, I never knew, I've always been like this confident person, but I never knew, that I could get affected that way. And there were other things going on in my life then. I was a new mother in a new country. I didn't realize that, but like, I just went into this dark phase where I just didn't know who I was anymore, right? And I am so grateful. I'm so grateful for that time, because it helped me rediscover myself. It helped me ask questions that I needed to ask myself. First of all, like, was my value from my career successes? Was that how I was defining who I am? So it helped me go down this, go down this journey of like self-awareness, spiritual awakening, everything, right? But yeah, it was hard then when I was going through it. And the biggest thing for me was I was feeling talentless. Like, okay, without work, who I am, who am I, right? I was feeling very talentless, very useless. I know it's not a good word, but that's where I was at the time. And I think I was going through some form of postpartum depression looking back then, because like the giggly me, joyful me was not there anymore. So one day I was just like tired, and I was just like, I said a prayer. I'm like, just God, show me what I'm good at with my hands. Show me who I am, And my 3-year-old walked up to me like the next day. It's so funny. Walked up to me the next day and said, "Mommy, I want you to make me a Ninja Turtle cake for my 4th birthday." His 4th birthday was coming up. And I was like, sorry, who are you talking to? Do you have another mother I don't know about? It was so funny. And I'm like, okay, banana bread will not turn into a Ninja Turtle cake. But like something came alive in me, like in that moment. And, I just felt like maybe God, the universe used my son that I would listen to, because if someone else said that to me, I would laugh at them, right? And I wouldn't take it seriously. But something came alive in me, and I was like living on YouTube, just checking like, how do you make a cake? I was like, that joy that I didn't know where it went to, but like I found Yolanda on YouTube and started binging her channel, and I heard someone in the background always giggling, and hearing that person reminded me of who I used to be. That joy, that giggle that I had. People always know me for my giggles. It got me in trouble many times in school. But yeah, I just started, baking, and it brought out this joy then just going deeper into like watching Yolanda, I saw that she was in a show, Sugar Stars, right? Then from Sugar Stars, I was watching every episode. Then one stood out to me, and it was yours. And what stood out to me was, first of all, what caught me was like, I saw love on the table. The dessert table was like all about love. I'm like, love on an organization level. Someone is talking about love, and that's like a recurring theme in my life. Like love. It's something. It's who I am. It's who I strive to be. How I strive to show up every day. So that caught my eye. I started following you on social media, and you were my mentor before you were my mentor, right? Honestly, because from a distance, like I was following you and I saw that you walked the talk, and they're things that I take very personally. When I see people that exude kindness, that are light or love, right? So that was like what kind of led me to where I am today, to discovering my talent of baking. I never knew I could do any of that prior to 2016 or 2015. I never made anything with my hands. I never drew. I never created. But like I've always known like I could make something out of something. Like I never knew I could make something out of nothing. And it came from, that journey where I had to look inside, and that's that's how.
And baking, it's interesting actually, because the baking is what kind of pulled you out of that negative, I guess that negative place we're in, because I do think, I definitely do think there was a bit of that postpartum for you for sure, but you're new to a new country, you have two small kids. And so, there's an interesting lesson in that, which is the universe does guide you. It helps direct you. And I thought it was so interesting what you said about your son, how, that wasn't a coincidence. Like he's asking you to bake him a Ninja Turtle cake. And you're right. If it was somebody else that asked you, you wouldn't even have thought about it. But because it's your son, it made you think, oh, maybe I should look at this. And then that was really life-changing for you. And I think, if that was around the time when you reached out to me, and your letter, I have to say, was extremely, I'm going to read bits and pieces of it, but I thought, it made me very emotional. I read it and it brought me to tears. Because, I think, I say this as women, and maybe it's not just women, but I very much believe that our purpose in life is to try and be the best versions of ourselves, the best versions we are meant to be for ourselves, for our family, for friends, and for people we don't know. Because we lead by example for so many others. When I did that podcast years ago, remember, about showing up, that was very much around, if you show up for yourself, you're actually showing up for everyone else, because others will want to emulate that, and feel that they can do what, they can do it too. And so I always thought that was extremely important. And so when I read your letter, I felt like, okay, like, we can go on this journey together. And I guess I just want also our listeners to feel like, mentorship, like anybody like can be a mentor. Like to me, and you said this actually when you were talking, you're like, you were my mentor before you were my mentor. Right. And so, which is awesome. But then I actually became your mentor because you sent me this amazing letter, and I'm going to read just some parts of it. You said, "Hi, Natasha. How are you doing today? Trust you are doing fabulous and great. I love the positivity. Please forgive the long email. Trust me, this is the shorter version." By the way, it was very funny also.
It was like me, authentically me, right?
I just loved it. Firstly, let me start with an introduction. My name is Ebuka. My Instagram handle is Ronnie's Treats, and I love you. Cheesy, right? Okay. I'm usually not a fangirl, but there are great people that impact my life so much that I can't help but express my undiluted admiration. And I'm a mother of two lovely boys, and I'm fairly new to Canada. With that first paragraph, you had me, because it was so, it's true now that I know you, it's very you, but it was just also like, it was just so raw. It was just like, this is me. And, I just want, if anyone's looking for a mentor, I just want people to understand that sometimes all it is an email, a DM, and if someone doesn't respond to you the first time, because I didn't realize this, because when I read this back, I realized you had reached out to me on LinkedIn first, but I didn't respond. Yeah. And so like, I want people to also understand that, reach out again, because sometimes you just don't see it. It's never, and I very much believe that what's meant to be will very much be. One of the things I wanted to ask you was, what do you think was one of your sort of greatest learnings from, our friendship and our friendship together?
There's so much, right? Like I said, I was learning from you from a distance, right? And there are so many values that you talk about that I could align with in my life. One, and the biggest one, being love and kindness. Like, you're always preaching that. And, it's just like, when you have a heart full of love, it makes you a beautiful person. And you don't know who's watching. You don't know whose life you're changing. You don't know who you're helping. Just like me going through what I was going through, and it took baking, watching an amazing talented YouTuber, watching you, like, and some other people, like the universe will send you things. You will attract things, like when you're on that path, things that would help you. Just having those people, my family, people I could lean on. It was just, so what I learned, and I keep learning from you, is just to be yourself. Show up. Don't let success is, because I asked you one question one day. I'm like, how do you stay grounded? I love it when I see successful people. I know success is relative. The definition is relative. But like, someone that is doing the work, you're great in your field, and you're doing the other, like, philanthropy work, which is something that I'm very interested in. Like, I feel like service, like Muhammad Ali, I think, said that service to others is the rent we pay for our time on earth, right? And service is an act of pure love, right? Service to others. So I've learned that. So that was one of the things that drew me to you, because I could see those things. Like, when you were like, I want to go somewhere, and you can see someone that is there, right? And just having that to look up to, and having people like you to draw inspiration from, made me think like, oh, I can do this. And also, you're always pushing me. Like, when people say, oh yeah, a mentor is someone that sees things in you that you don't see in yourself, it seems so cliche, but no, like, there's so many times that you've pushed me, and you dream big for me, and maybe that's something I didn't see before. But now, like, I have a whole different point of view. And not just that, like, as you're succeeding, you're helping others succeed as well. There's this thing saying that says, lift as you climb. So seeing someone that is there trying to help others, so like, you've helped me want to help others. Like, now I'm a mentor to newcomers in Canada through a program called TRIAC. So, like, because I've been there, I'm able to relate to certain things, and I want to give back. I want to pay it forward, right? You see, mentorship, like, I don't pay you for your mentorship, and time is something you can never give back to someone, right? It is one resource you cannot give back. So, it's just taught me to be more selfless, and to just want to give back and impart someone else's life, like you and some other great people do every day.
So interesting what you said about time, because I truly believe time is our greatest commodity. It's not money, it's not anything, it's time. We only have a certain amount of time on this earth. We only have a certain amount of time to give. And, it's very much around, spend it wisely, and, spend it, with people that you care about, but also that give back of yourself so that you're helping someone else, be the best version of themselves. Because you are right when you say, I dream big for you, because I make you do shit that sometimes you're very uncomfortable doing, as you know. What our listeners need to realize is you're a very successful person. You have a very successful day job, and you're a mother and you're a wife. But your baking you do because you just love it. It's the joy of baking, and you just love doing it. And I've often said, well, let's make a business out of it. And so, I remember Ashley Linson, one of I think the best sort of wedding planners and event planners out there. I was saying, oh my God, you have to meet Ebuka because she makes the best cakes. And then you guys came up with this concept of, well, let's do cake tastings for like new brides. And you did those slices of cakes and different flavors, and you packaged them beautifully. And I was like, this is awesome. And then I know, thankfully you gave me 2 packages, one to give one to her because the second one I ate and I didn't end up giving it to her, but at least I had the second one that I could have given to her. But I feel like you and I, when we get together, we're always thinking about these ideas of, how you can turn your passion, this great joy that you have, into a business. But I also feel one of the things we kind of came up with, and you said this, is you love doing it for the joy of it, not if you had to do it as a business.
Exactly. And it also led me to, because just back to what I said about watching you and the philanthropy work that you did. So I learned about St. Felix from you, right? St. Felix Center. And I started following them and supporting them. And you made me do an exercise about my plan. What was my short-term goals and my long-term goals. And it made me think. And I was like, okay, what do I love about baking? I love the expression I see on people when they see their cakes. Like, that's what I live for. And I just said, you know what? But I want it for people that, not just people that can afford it. I want it for people that can't afford it. Everybody deserves to have that look. Everybody deserves to be celebrated. And that's what led me to think. I was like, you know what? I want to be able to bake for somewhere like St. Felix, where they can celebrate the birthdays of their visitors, because they deserve to be celebrated. And now, this year is going to be 2 years since I started donating cakes monthly to them, and it just brings me so much joy, to be able to do that. And that's when I said, I know there's a purpose to me discovering this baking. Yes, I want to turn it into a business, but I also want to use it to do good. I want to use it to spread sweet smiles,
I love that you do that. I mean, for those that don't know, St. Felix Center is a local homeless shelter where they provide warm meals, usually lunch and dinner, I think 7 days a week for the homeless in downtown Toronto. It's an incredible organization. And, I just love that you do that, and you do it because you want to see the joy in their faces. And I think that is interesting, because I do think that exercise, and I remember when I said, look at your short-term goals, write down your long-term goals. I always think that when you put pen to paper, you have more clarity on truly why you do what you do. And it's interesting because I think what you discovered is you do what you do because of seeing joy in people's faces, and that gives you joy. And I mean, that's one of the reasons why I give back philanthropically, is because for me, when I think about the work that I do with Artists for Peace and Justice in Haiti, and just knowing that we're contributing just a little bit to provide an opportunity to succeed in life for these children that normally wouldn't have had an opportunity to get an education. It just, even now I'm talking about it and I'm getting shivers. It's what I feel I was meant to do. And someone asked me the other day, why did you do it? And I just said, why not? The earthquake happened and there was an opportunity, and that's what we should do as humans. I think that we are brought on this earth to leave it a better place than we entered it. And you're doing that with your cakes. I wanted to ask you, we talk a lot about mentors, but what do you think makes a good mentee? What do you think? Because you're on both sides. You're a mentor and
yeah. So For me, a good mentee is, someone that knows what they want. And it's okay to not know what you want, because there are times when, when I approached you, I really didn't know what I want, but I knew some things. Like, I knew that my values aligned with yours. I
Yeah.
knew that there were certain aspects of your, like, I'm not in PR or anything, but there were certain things I could learn from you as a human being, as a mother, So just knowing that first and foremost, like, why do you want someone to be your mentor? Or like, because if you don't know what you want, let me go back to that. If you don't know what you want, how will someone help you?
Yeah.
Right. So, knowing what you want, just being respectful of the mentor's time. Like we said again, time is so important. Being respectful of someone's time, and just having that clarity is very good, and being willing to pay forward.
That's so interesting that you say that, because I feel that often, I shouldn't say often, but sometimes mentees think that the mentor is going to do the work for them. But
Mm-hmm.
that's not, having a mentor actually means a lot more work for the mentee, because it makes it real. And, there's a lot of work that the mentee has to do to kind of get to a place where, like, I'll give you the information and the insight, but what are you going to do with it?
Exactly.
And, I think that it's so valuable to have the mentorship, I think, is so valuable, but I think the mentee does need to understand the mentor invests time, but the mentee invests time too.
Has to do the
And
work. Yep.
it's time that sort of helps them progress to where they ultimately want to be. I wanted to ask you, so, we've known each other 5 years now. What do you think we've learned together?
Hmm. I would say maybe meeting. I'm trying to find the give and take is always a give and take, or maybe like meeting each other where we are.
Yeah.
Even though I know you've had these big plans for me, but I've also seen you like pace it. Like, I don't feel pressured. I'd say that, right? I don't feel pressured. At all. Like, when you have ideas, okay, let's do this and that. I feel like you come at it with, just with my mental everything, whatever state I am in mind. I feel that. I don't know whether you do it unconsciously or
It,
consciously.
it is true, actually. I'm always
Yeah.
mindful of where you're at. I often
Yep.
can feel you emotionally. It's strange, actually, the way I'm saying it.
Hmm.
But I feel like I'm very intuitive, and I can usually feel where you're at. And
See, I didn't know
so,
how to put that, but you get the gist
yeah,
of what I was trying
I
to
know
say.
exactly what you're
Yes.
saying, because the last time we saw each other, I actually
Yes.
felt I couldn't push you too hard. Um,
Yeah.
and so I was like, okay, I understand. So, because when people go through growth, often growth, there's an anxiety with growth, and there's a certain feeling that's happening. And I feel like you're actually right now, you're going through some growth. And so when you and I saw each other, it was a few months ago, I very much I felt it. And I think you're going through that right now. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to enjoy baking with you, because we baked my birthday cake together, and I love that. And I was like, we'll just bake. I'm gonna back off of her a little bit today, but you're definitely going through, as we all do. I feel like you're
Yeah.
going through some growth right now.
Yeah.
Um,
It's constant.
it's constant, yeah, and it is. And I think the thing, and I had talked about this with some other people too, is uh, growth. You go through fear when you're going through growth. There's a certain amount of fear that is part of that, but you have to actually work through it, and you have to actually keep moving forward. That's the key. There is no growth without fear, but you have to just work through that, because you come out the other end and you feel great. And so that's the key. And I'll tell you what I've learned. I've learned how to bake.
See?
I now think of myself as a baker, because we bake that Cipriani cake. it was outstanding. And it was good.
It was so much fun. And it was so yummy too.
It was so yummy. I actually, first of all, my meringue didn't fall because I think I told you I tried to make that cake a year ago, and poor Eric was the one trying to make the meringue because my meringue fell 3 times, and then finally Eric had to like beat, and finally we got the meringue. But it was absolutely awesome. And I'm excited to bake again. I'm going to finish off because I've been asking this question of everybody, and I'm going to ask it of you as well. So you've known me for 5 years. Is there a question that you have for me, or anything that you want to know about me that you don't know about me that you've always wanted to ask? It could be any.
You know what? Your TED Talk answered some of the questions, like, and you're very open, right? So I find that, like, even when I was following you before, like I learned a lot about you. You're very open in that sense. And also when you did the TED Talk, you did talk about like your story, right? You were an immigrant as well. You're a single mother, all of that. So yeah, but yeah. There's no question that pops up in my mind now that, I've been meaning to ask. Is,
You don't want to know my favorite like flavor of cake?
Cipriani cake. No, I know your favorite. Like you love Fatino's cake, or like you like the plain slab.
I like the slab cakes. Yeah, I have 2 favorite cakes: the Cipriani cake for sure, but I love the Loblaws, like that cheap Loblaws birthday cake.
See, I called it Fortino's, but Loblaws. So
yeah, it's a Loblaws. It's the I guess it's that sugar icing, when they make those like pink and blue flowers and they put them on the cake. Anyway, I literally could like eat that forever and ever and ever. It's my absolute favorite. Yeah. I mean, you might have known that. Everyone else probably didn't. So there you go. Yeah. That's so funny. Ebuka, thank you. Thank you for coming on. I think you added so much value for people that might have been afraid to reach out to a mentor, and now they will. And you're helping people sort of understand the importance of being a mentee as well. So thank you. Thank you so much for sharing you with us.
Thank you so much for having me. I believe, and people should be authentic in their approach, right? Like I couldn't have been any other way when I was introducing myself to you, because it was part of that journey where I'm like, if someone can take me as I am, then they're not meant to be in my life, right? So when I reached out to you, I was just authentically myself.
Yeah, thank you.
So that is very key.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Love ya.
As Ebuka put it, when you have a heart full of love, it makes you a better person. I couldn't agree with you more. And Ebuka, I can't wait to bake with you again. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I always love hearing from you. Feel free to DM me at Natasha NKPR, and don't forget to subscribe, share, and leave a review and rating. Until next time.